Hey,
We are, we are live and ready to go.
look, it's a wild Ivan.
It is this time. Uh, Everything didn't go completely wrong, so I am totally here.
Hooray! So we are returning to episode 24. We had episode 25, and
Yeah.
now we're back for more talk on WYSIWYG,
Yes. That
or
makes it
maybe,
kind of mysterious.
yeah, maybe a
Maybe a
little
little,
Wargames Atlantic, maybe not.
yeah, maybe a
Just,
little war games drama and some paranoia.
yep,
Probably.
that's the big one.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is going on with Paranoia? I haven't been
It's
on the internet much, so I actually don't know too many details. I just know it's about a IP I know nothing about, and have probably heard of at least one point in time. But
yeah. Everyone's heard of paranoia. It's one of those like RPGs that like I think more people tell stories about than the number of people who ever played it. But so it's kind of interesting. It was kind of a weird project. But I think we'll start with a bit of just kind of modeling, painting, gaming philosophy. We like to philosophize
yeah,
about
and then I'll. Hmm?
so WYSIWYG, which is not just about like how computer text appears on your printer. It is also what you see is what you get. Well, it means that for computers too, but it is that your models are like completely accurate. Well, I guess that's the first question. How much what you see is what you get should it be to be WYSIWYG? Like if I have the right Space Marine, but he has the wrong like pistol or sword, does that like
Well, I think it highly depends on the environment that you are gaming in. Because if you are doing a miniatures agnostic game, then chances are you cannot WYSIWYG.
or like whatever you say it is actually what it is?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Like this guy is the guy I'm saying is, a storm shock assault trooper. Because it doesn't say in the rulebook what mini to use, so now it officially is the real one, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But like if because like when we played like Warhammer back in the day, we kind of had the not at tournaments because there it was like 100%, it has to be correct. But when we were just playing, like if you wanted to take a guy with a missile launcher and say that was a last cannon, that was just kind of okay. Like as long as it was like a guy with a heavy weapon, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Or you
that's
could
right.
your plasma guns could be melta guns or whatever. Like if you did it too much, people would kind of get sick of it because it gets like confusing. But that was always kind of okay to do. But that's not really what people think when they say WYSIWYG, or is it? Like I feel like when people say it, it's like very specific. Like
Yeah. It is, but it's also not. Because that's like in a friendly context, so and they represent a heavy weapon. So I think there's degrees of WYSIWYG that people kind of look for all the way up to like the tightest point. So if you're playing in a 40k tournament, everything is laid out exactly how it should be. It should be a Space Marine with a last gun, and if he doesn't look like a Space Marine with a last gun, then you're not WYSIWYGing, basically.
right.
But
Like
if
that's
it's
the tournament level is like the as exact as possible. I remember there were some games, I think this may even have been in the rulebook sometimes, where they sort of encourage you when you bought like upgrades, like your dude has like a scanner or something. They definitely like encourage you
mhm.
to put that on the models, but like nobody did that part, even
Yeah,
at tournaments.
yeah,
People didn't do any of that. But like the weapons would be accurate. So that's like the top level, like level 10, I guess. Then like below that you have kind of the more relaxed, like you say, like a heavy weapon is a heavy weapon. Like, but it still has to be like, you can't show up with like some Eldar and say they're Dark Eldar or whatever. Like your
yeah,
Guardians can't be whatever they're called, Dark Eldar,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Spike Mantises or whatever the fuck. Like you can't bring your Space Wolves and say they're Dark Angels. Like that's like still a
No,
step too far for a lot.
yeah,
Even if you're okay saying like, okay, today this guy has like a power fist instead of a sword, you know.
yeah. As long as he's got the hand weapon of some sort, then it can pass. It's all right.
Yeah,
But you
which is
can't
like
have
a
like a squad of bolter guys and be like, one of these guys has a last gun, and you get to guess which one.
right. Well, yeah, because then it gets kind of like, oh, it just happened to be the one guy who's in line of sight. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Weird how it always
But
works out that way.
yeah. But that's kind of part of it, right? It's like being able to visually identify like what the units still are. If I see a devastating squad of Space Marines and they have 4 heavy weapons, like even if the weapons are not accurate, but I can still sort of gauge like, okay, those dudes are like bad news, and I should probably like do something with them. Um, then like the level below that, you have the where it gets very fudgy. Like they might be Space Marine models, but they could be kind of anything. Like I got 5 leftover Space Marines, so I'm gonna like those are gonna be my Terminator squad kind of thing.
Yep.
Where and then it kind of unravels like pretty quickly. Like at very quickly, you're at like the Coke can like Orc Dreadnought and the stuffed animals for Chaos Demons and stuff.
That's amazing. I would like that.
Yeah, we had one guy who it was technically a model, although I don't think it was ever tournament tested, but it was a Orc Dreadnought built out of a toilet paper roll with
Oh
like
yeah.
legs and guns glued to it. So it was a real model, but it kind of looked like halfway there. I remember the big argument we had. Because in I think second edition 40k, orcs could use captured like imperial vehicles if you had like a squad of blood axes or whatever they were. But it said in the orc codex that they had to look like orc vehicles. You couldn't just use. And this one guy, my friend Peter's little brother, insisted that because blood axes use camouflage, they're the only orcs that use camo, and the tank was already painted in imperial camouflage, therefore it was technically already looking like an orc tank. Which we didn't let him get away with because it was a Leave and Rust demolisher, and we didn't want him to have that thing. Because it was one of those things where he was basically like borrowing the tank from his older brother's Imperial Guard army, and his brother didn't want him to like stick orc shit all over that tank.
Yeah.
So, but you know, because that's kind of like the range of it, where because on one hand, it's like that's always the argument of like, what does like a model like represent? Is it like a personification of your art and craft and skill and time and investment into your army is representing blah 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 blah, or is it like a game piece and you could just use like a piece of cardboard with Space Marine written on it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is the lousiest looking game you've played?
The lousiest?
Yeah, just like the absolute worst looking, like cardboard pieces or just not even spray painted sprue.
I was telling Tom I did use a movement tray as a Razorback once because I didn't have a Razorback. So it's like I just wrote Razorback on it. It's like there we go. It's like in the same surface area.
It's close.
Yeah, and I did use Dark Eldar as Necrons once.
All right,
but it was a friendly game.
Yeah.
Necrons weren't even out yet. They're like rare metal models that were just released in White Dwarf.
Oh,
it's like, well, I want to try those rules, so we just used the Dark Eldar that we had.
Yeah, I mean that's works too. Yeah, we definitely had some lousy stuff. I remember we played some Warhammer Fantasy Battle games where we just cut out like squares of paper to be the regiments, and you would just write Skaven warriors on them with a number of how many there were, and then you just like mark them off when they died. Like we did a lot of stuff like that. I remember I had like epic Space Marine armies, epic 40k armies that were all cut out on cardboard, and they were just like the size of the actual bases, and you write like the squad types on them.
Yeah.
But that was before we could get our hands on the game. But we always had kind of a very, I think it was partly because we did play tournaments a lot. So when you did that, like everything had to be like, exact and precise. So when we weren't playing tournament play, it was kind of like everyone wanted to try out like some random things. Yeah.
It's not that far off from like chit gaming anyway. So
yeah, I mean, when you're playing like a hex game, like it's just a piece of cardboard. It might have a little drawing on it, but a lot of times it just has like a NATO symbol.
Yeah, I think it's acceptable if that's what everyone wants to do. It's just if you're looking for a spectacle, that's where everything kind of falls apart, and where WYSIWYG is a little stronger.
Yeah, like there's a spectacle part, and then there's like the clarity part. Because when you're playing like a board game, like you can still look at the counters and see what they are. Like you can see that's the 3rd Infantry Division or whatever. When it's when you're using like your Eldar as Necrons, it's a little less clear like what everything is like at a glance, especially if it changes like between games.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing if it's like an emergency. Like I remember using some like 172 plastic like Germans as rattling snipers because absolutely could not find where my Rattling minis had gone. They were like lost on the shelf somewhere. Like, I guess they were infiltrating. So the only thing I had on hand was like, okay, well, these guys are kind of short compared to guardsmen. So for this game, and that was fine because it was just one game. But if like next game, those same minis were there again, but now they're like a command squad or something, you know, then it starts like taking the piss a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I feel sometimes when you see this discussion online, because some people are like very like adamant that it doesn't matter as long as it's a model. Some people are more specific. Like some of it becomes like a affordability question too, right? You know, but maybe the answer is just like, don't play like the expensive game that requires a $500 army.
Yeah, or
You
just
know,
play with what you got. You know, what are those?
yeah,
Those are the two options, I guess.
play small battles. Yeah, I mean, you gotta like go, you know. That's kind of the flip side to it as well, especially with like Warhammer, because like you can find like 12 different places you can buy like definitely not Space Marine models of various legalities. So, and you know, if you're playing Imperial Guard, you have it kind of easy because you can just literally grab some human troopers. There's a lot of companies that make, including Wargames Atlantic. Look at the foreshadowing there.
Yep.
So let's say you wanted to have some Wargames Atlantic figures and you wanted to like pretend that they were actually a completely different company's figures for nefarious reasons. Like, does that like, do people outside of like store employees, do people actually give a shit if you are showing up with like the official minis or not?
Someone's like, definitely someone's got it.
Yeah, but is that a guy who actually gives a shit, or is that a dude who realizes that if he complains about it, you can't use your like hero or whatever?
Yeah, maybe he's angry because he spent all that money on GW stuff, and
and you just
with
got
your
some
quarter-priced Wargames Atlantic.
Yeah, or 3D printed like Ukrainian minis or whatever. Because I feel like even though technically that's not what you see is what you get, because it's not a real Space Marine. But if it's obviously it looks like a Space Marine and it looks like it has the right weapon or like pretty close to it anyway. Yeah, like I remember my old guard army had a bunch of like Void and War minis in it. And nobody gave a shit about Warzone minis as well. Nobody gave a shit about those because it looked close enough. Like a dude with a missile launcher is a dude with a missile launcher.
Yeah.
So even though like some of them were like Void guys or whatever, because nobody actually played Void, you know, they could get used there and it was fine. Nobody cared about that. But maybe somebody would.
Somebody would for sure. Because I think they want the very specific spectacle. They wanted to see your Warhammer army against their Warhammer army. And here you are with your third-party miniatures.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
not
like
even real miniatures.
Knockoff troopers.
Which I'm pretty sure I've heard that. Someone say that before. They're not real miniatures. Because only Games Workshop miniatures are real. I don't know.
Oh, I have run into once or twice people who opine pretty negatively on bringing converted models to a tournament.
Yeah.
So, although in that case, that was back in the day where, like, the judges would like go through and like rate your armies, which included like any conversions and stuff, and they always had like a painter from Games Workshop coming over. So, it's as close to being like the guy who paints for a Golden Demon said it was fine. He liked my dude's arm, so fuck off.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it was basically this idea that like you're supposed to use the models like as is, otherwise it's some sort of weird, you know.
Weird, what's it called? Heresy. Affront to the Emperor God.
Yeah, that's like what all the kids are calling it now with their memes. So, but that's the other part, because you can grab some minis that have nothing to do with the game. You can grab some like knockoffs from like the 3D print dudes that have shut down their shops every 2 weeks. But you can also just grab some like straight up recasts, especially if you're playing like Oldhammer. Like, I don't know how many like of that one Eldar Exarch with the Dark Reaper helmet they actually made back in the day, but like when I was looking for one, there was a guy selling like 12 of them, and they're all pristine on eBay. They're all very shiny.
Lucked out so well, yeah.
Yeah. And they were really shiny. No lead rot or anything. In fact, they didn't
Yeah.
look like lead, which is very funny for a second edition Eldar Mini. But, I'm
Hmm.
sure there's nothing to that,
No,
especially
no.
since he was selling them for like $4 a pop, which is also definitely the price that like out of print Eldar Minis go for. So,
It's true. Yeah, yeah. They're worthless, basically.
yeah. People give them away. Like some
Mhm.
people will pay you to get that shit
Yeah.
off their hands, so their
Just
wife will stop nagging. So where do you stand on? This is where we get people to like confess to things that'll ruin their careers later in the
yep.
gaming
Yep. That's
industry.
right.
Where do you stand on recasts?
I
Have
just
you
don't care.
ever have you ever knowingly purchased a recast?
Yes.
What
Just to
was
see.
it?
I wanted to see it.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
some like back when all of a sudden the Chinese recasters appeared out of nowhere, and everyone was like, "Wow, it's so amazing quality." I'm
yeah.
like, "Okay, well, I want to check it out." So I bought some. I never actually built any. I just looked at
What
the bits. I'm like, "Okay, that's
was it
cool."
actually amazing quality?
Yeah, it
Because
was
I've
amazing
gotten
quality.
some. I have not intentionally bought some, but I have bought
Yeah.
some where like I didn't buy that Elda, but there was some. I think it was some Space Marine Scouts, the old metal Scouts. I was
Hmm.
like, these look a little weird, but I bought them anyway, and then I couldn't tell, but I have a feeling because they're very brittle, and I don't think
Yeah.
they had switched to. They were like brittle, even comparing to like white old school like white metal figures, which were kind of brittle to begin with.
Hmm.
But the features were all like really sharp and crisp. They didn't really, so it was hard to tell if they were fake or not. I wouldn't have like, yeah, it doesn't. I will say it bothers me if it is stuff that is currently being made, because then it's a little bit of a different argument. Like I know Games Workshop doesn't need more money, but like people will, like I've bought minis that were like ripped off from like Ground Zero Games that I didn't know about, and those I actually like felt kind of bad about because like I've
Yeah.
talked to John from GCG. He's like a cool dude. Like I wouldn't have bought those if uh, actually that was on the Weasel Court because it was these
Yeah.
like plastic some Russian guy who had like copied it's like one of the old GCG ranges and put
Hmm.
like a bunch of like shit on them like larger shoulder pads. And I remember like seeing them because they were super cheap. I remember seeing them. I was like, they look sort of familiar, but I couldn't recognize them. And I
Yeah.
thought because you often see those like Russian or used to Russian like toy lines and stuff. So I bought a big bag of them and I was showing them off. And then somebody was like, those are like ripped off like GCG minis. Like, and I looked it up. It's like, fuck, they are. Like,
But they added shoulder pads, so
yeah, like technically, I don't know if that would count. It might count in Russia. Like if you modify something enough, does that make it like a
yeah,
new
that
model?
makes it legally distinct.
Yeah. But that like I did feel bad about because
Hmm.
like I know it doesn't technically make a difference, but like there's a difference between a company that's like a dude and a company that's a global like corporation, I suppose.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah,
don't
for me
know.
it was mostly curiosity. I just wanted to see. I thought
Yeah,
maybe I would build
because
them too, but I just never did. So it's kind of funny that
yeah,
way.
I mean you always end up with like more shit than you have time to
Yeah.
build. Like I bought other stuff that was just like random lots on eBay where like there's no way of telling, like it
Hmm.
could be anything, so you don't know what you're getting. So, but also like, I mean, it's one thing I feel, especially for like Oldhammer and stuff. Because on one hand, there's a lot of those figures you just can't get anymore.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about like models that got away, and there's a lot that are there was only so many made. Some of those are not being sold off. Some have been lost, destroyed, thrown out, or something. So like, if there were 5,000 of a particular Space Marine ever made, that's a cap.
Hmm.
And now there may only be like 500 of those that are like in some sort of circulation. So if you really want that model, like you have a limited chance. But then is it like people who buy, like collectible goods where if you got that Space Marine, but then it's a recast, like would it not be the same? Like if you're a real collector.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to complete your collection, then you can never get the one
Yeah, it's
very
like, well,
specific
do you
miniature.
take the recast so you can have the model that you've always been lusted after, or does it have to be like a real Games Workshop cast with like the lead fucking rotting away and everything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
because a lot of them are also going to be like pretty bad shape.
Yeah, and there's also the folks who will take a classic model miniature and they'll redo it. They try to
Mm.
make it look as close as possible, but they change the little things. Maybe they give them proportions. They make it so their hips aren't actually distended in strange ways. You know, just modernize it slightly, but it's still
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah.
ripping off that miniature. but they put effort into it too. You know.
Yeah, like I don't want to say. I think if that's the only thing you do, maybe at some point you should like create something of your own. You know, it's hard to
Yeah.
say. I don't want to be like too because somebody's going to point out that like row camera is not exactly the most original thing anyone has ever written,
Yeah.
right? But I think it's like there was a musician. I forget who it was. It was like a rock musician who said that like you can like rip something off like a quarter of the time. So like if you write 4 songs, 3 of them should be pretty new, and then you can have one that's like a homage to a song you
Yeah.
liked, or you reuse as a riff, or you kind of like do the same idea or take, but you do it like your way. Like you can rip off one, then you have to go make 3 new songs. So I don't remember. It was some like old rock dude who was like fat and deranged. So
Yeah. Back in the day when everyone played everyone else's songs.
yeah, I mean they didn't give a shit. Like
Yeah.
Sample industry was like completely like renegade until finally people started suing over it, and then everyone got mad because it sucked.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see someone take like classic BattleTech sculpts and redo them to modernize them, but also keep them like janky looking.
Yeah.
And so, like to me, that would be like a cool project that they'll probably never do officially. So the only way to do it would be unofficially.
Yeah, like old Mutant Chronicles minis, like the old Warzone minis and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's completely IP theft, but also it'd be very cool.
Yeah, even a lot of old, like old D&D minis, like the original like Ralph Hartha stuff and old Grenadier minis. There's a lot of those where like, I mean, you do see some companies that are making stuff in that style. So like some of it is out there. Like you can still buy a lot of the Grenadier stuff, which is cool. It actually holds up surprisingly well.
Yeah, Grenadier is awesome. But yeah, when you look at like the way they sculpted the armor and everything, it's like no one does that anymore. It was like a very specific aesthetic, of the 70s or early 80s.
Yeah, they all have like that slightly like chunky feel to them. Like it just they fit. Yeah, they're just so perfectly like a time capsule.
Or just like even style choices, like there's that guy with his thigh-high boots for some reason. And
yeah,
why? I don't know.
And of course, everyone has their arms in the air, like they're celebrating.
Cross swords.
Yeah. Maybe it's a book and just like a hand doing the horns or something. So that's the victory pose. Yeah, like there's a lot of that stuff that could be brought back, but then maybe we also should want it to be like modernized a little bit. Like I know a lot of people would absolutely like kill for like a redo of the classic like Space Marine like RTB plastic set. Yeah. But if that happened, wouldn't people probably want a version that was like fitted a little better and like the arms fit better? Like you can tidy it up. You did
get pretty close anyway with the new Horus Heresy stuff. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Those are really nice. They kind of
even kept like the weird like sandal toes.
Yes.
Like I thought for sure they get rid of sandal toes, but they left them.
Yeah, I love the rounded missile launchers they use for Horus Heresy, which is the original ones. They have that very sort of like rounded, organic appearance.
Yeah, so weird. Yeah, they didn't redo everything the same, but there was a lot of stuff. They did a pretty good job on. Yeah,
and I think that really like helps like bring back some of those cool things, but in a way that's we can embrace a little bit of the time that's gone by, right?
Yeah. And of course, those were official, so no one can argue with that.
No, this is true. They are like literally. I remember the brief time I played Space Marine in tournaments. I had a handful of Rogue Trader minis, and even at the time, this is 3rd edition, they were already starting to be like a head shorter than regular Space Marines. So they look kind of weird, but they also had like weapons that like shuriken catapults and autoguns and stuff. So
yeah.
But I would just sneak them in as like standard Space Marines and bolt guns, and just wait for somebody to like notice that, like, oh shit,
that's not WYSIWYG.
Yeah, but totally, those are tournament legal models. The real question is if those chibi Warhammer models they did are tournament legal.
I don't know if I ever saw those.
Oh, yeah, you should look them up. They were like cute. It was like a limited range. It was like a Sister of Battle. I think it was like a Gene Sealer and some stuff. But they were like oversized, like chibi models.
Yeah.
But they were, I think they were made by Games Workshop, so they should be tournament legal.
Yeah. Just get a whole army of them.
Yeah. They were like, I don't know, $30 a pop. So, which nowadays is like barely more expensive than Space Marines anyway.
When I originally thought of this topic, the WYSIWYG, I was thinking of it because of pillage,
Hmm.
which the game mechanics specifically say. Like, you can't say a guy holding like a two-handed Dane axe is a guy with a spear and a shield.
Hmm.
You know,
So
if
your
he's not wearing
weapons have to
armor, you
be
can't say he has armor.
all right.
Like, it's all very
So
specific. So like
yeah,
you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
have these miniatures match this loadout.
Hmm.
And I thought it
Yeah.
was kind of like a good design choice. Honestly, I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, so it's like the clarity thing, right? Like if
Hmm.
I'm looking at the table and I see you have two dudes over there with spears, then in my head, I don't know how spears work that game, but let's say
Yeah.
they're better at defending or something. In my head, maybe I want to like play the game a little differently. But then it turns out that they actually have like repeating axis and a toaster.
Yeah. That's right.
So maybe I would have like if I was fighting the Viking with the toaster, I would definitely like
Yeah.
do it differently. I would probably just hit him with an axe.
And I've definitely been in that situation too, where I just didn't realize what that model was and what
Yeah,
it could
yeah,
do. And it just gets
like
slaughtered. It's like, okay, oh, I thought it was just a regular guy. No, it turns out it's like your most powerful unit in the army. It's like, okay, well,
yeah, and every group has like the one dude who's like a little convenient with that. Like the guy who has a special grenade is
yeah.
always the guy who's closest to you, kind of thing.
I mean,
So
sometimes it
yeah,
is like a matter of like proxy error. So, like sometimes I just don't know what the units are because they're not anything like the official units. And sometimes it's my ignorance. Sometimes I just didn't realize that one particular model actually was the proper
yeah.
one, and it is one that can murder everyone I have.
I think everyone has done that in BattleTech. If you're using mechs that you don't have models for, and you end up mixing up two of them, and it turns out you've been like marking all the damage on the wrong guy because
Oh yes,
the Griffin model is actually like the Marauder or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, then it's like fuck. How do you like even unravel the whole thing because the whole game
yeah,
is broken now?
yeah, exactly. I've definitely done that.
I think
Mark down to the wrong unit. It's like, oh, oops.
yeah, especially if you have more than like even with four, sometimes it's like who took the PPC shot because that dude is over there and he can't see for shit.
Yep.
Um, I think there's also an element of it's like a social expectation, right? Like if you're playing with a group, I'm always reminded there was a guy many years ago in a Reddit post who because people were talking about the vibe in the groups they were playing with, and this guy he was clearly like an older guy, and he said one of the rules they had was that you had to have a painted army. They would play smaller games with you, so if you can paint three squads, then they would play a game that was three squads. But after like the first time you played, you had to have your shit painted. And that was the rule. It didn't have to be fantastic. He showed some pictures, and they were like normal. They were not bad, just normal armies. But your shit had to be painted, and people got like super mad about it because like, how dare you? Like, I have no arms, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And the guy's explanation was like, no, like we're all like older guys. We get together specifically, like we play games to see like a cool, table with terrain and painted miniatures and like the spectacle of it. So you can't show up with your sprue army or like your rattle can Necrons. And
we're playing.
It always
we show up with Necrons.
yeah. Especially, I mean, as long as your Necron has the Danax,
Yeah.
he's technically like tournament legal. But like those guys had a very specific idea what they wanted to play. They wanted to play a game that looked good. And they weren't master painters, but like it's the old weasel thing, right? Like okay armies on okay terrain will look great in aggregate. So if you're showing up to a group like that and you're like being a butt about you want to use your shitty void minis or whatever, maybe that's just the wrong group for you. Maybe that's the wrong people to play with, like because it's okay to be like, we always talk about like you don't want people to be elitist and like gatekeeping people, but at the same time it's okay to have like a standard for your table.
Exactly.
You're going to be spending like 5 hours in this game.
It's still a social contract in the end.
Yeah, like 2 hours setting up, 2 hours to argue about the rules, and then 1 hour to go for lunch. And then the game is over.
Yeah, and you're like, we're running out of time. We'll just roll a d6. Whoever gets highest wins.
Yeah. You can go for snacks afterwards, argue about who would have won.
Yeah. I was thinking another element of WYSIWYG can also kind of like overlap into terrain and cover and things like that. I was listening to a Hobby Homies battle rep, and they're talking about, like, I intended to be in cover. And that's something I've heard in the past too. Like, sometimes people get very anal about cover. You're obviously not
Oh,
in cover. It's like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
you can't necessarily WYSIWYG it with your miniature. Like, I intended to be in cover, but the miniature just isn't quite working in that particular terrain piece.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's like the eternal, or back in the day when people would model like their Eldar dreadnoughts like crouching, so they would be
Yeah,
shorter, so they could like hide behind units and stuff. And it was like,
yeah,
as hilarious as that is, but like maybe you're like missing the point a little bit if that's like how the game is going. But again, if it's like a tournament thing where you want everything to be like very, very precise, you don't want, if I can see your model and it's clearly not in cover,
yep,
that then that should be the expectation. Whereas if we're playing sort of like, like if you put your dude like by a corner, just ask, like, is he supposed to be like in cover at the corner, or is he
yeah,
supposed to be like out of sight? Like just
yeah.
kind of check. But in a tournament, you don't really do that. You just kind of hope the dude is like too far out, and then you nail him for his mistake on your turn.
I wonder if anyone ever just did like glue every single miniature like crouch prone.
I'm sure that is a thing out there. There used to be a range of, they were like 6mm, I think World War II minis, and they're all like cast on the bases prone.
Oh yes,
So they were just like little like, I mean, they just look like little like wobbly pieces of metal. They barely look
yep.
like anything. But I think there was some company that also had some that were like, oh, I think Eureka for 20mm World War II. They have these that are supposed to be like soldiers in foxholes. So it's just like a little like bit of dirt with like helmets and rifles.
There we go. Yeah, they just move
So,
everywhere.
yeah. They just move their foxholes with them.
Yeah, I'm in the bunker now in my foxhole.
Yeah, portable bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of that where it becomes, I think people used to call it like modeling for effect.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if you're measuring from the gun barrel, then put like an extra long barrel on your tank. You get like 3 more inches of range.
Yeah, where people get like really angry about base sizes. Like, well, I mean, as long as you're measuring from base to base, then it's good. But if you're doing like from
because
center
there's a
base to
bunch of
center base, then...
because I guess there's a bunch of stuff with like how many dudes can that guy fight, and like
yeah,
that stuff is like the fucking worst. We ran into this actually with the Paranoia rules. We have to double check something because I didn't realize that the minis are actually on 30mm bases and not 25s. And there had been some specific stuff because I'd originally said, like put your model so the bases don't overlap. But
oh, excuse me,
bless you. On a lot of like board corridors, you can't get 2 dudes with 30mm bases next to each other. If you have like corridor tiles from like board games and stuff. So we have to like go back and just not say that part. Because but it's like, but I think a lot of that stuff kind of comes because you mostly see in like the sort of tournaments type of scenes where anything that can give you, because if you have something that like, if I use this base instead of that base, I can fit like 1 more guy in every close combat or something. If you're playing like normally, nobody gives a shit. But when you have the internet and everyone is copying each other's armies and models and stuff, suddenly like everyone is basing their models like that so they can get the extra guy. And suddenly like the whole game like works differently. So maybe it's different for like the tournament nerds have to be hardcore about it, I guess.
Yep.
So, but we all, just like you don't have to play with the guys who want you to paint your Necrons, you also don't have to like play a tournament.
Yeah, you never have to play a tournament.
Right. I mean, maybe there's like one guy out there who just has to like, otherwise he loses his inheritance from his family.
Well, yeah, there we go. Stipulation from his father-in-law.
Yeah. Has to go to
who owns Games Workshop.
Yep. You get 25% of the empire, but you have to win with this shitty ass org army. It's like the script of like a terrible movie or something.
Honestly, sounds like an awesome movie now.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Let's be honest. There has been very few movies that have portrayed tabletop gaming in a positive light.
Yeah, it's true.
We
Has
did
there
with
been
Tom.
any, really?
I mean, there was a Tom Hanks movie.
What did he do? What movie was that?
Way back, I don't remember what it was called, like Dangerous Dungeons or something. It was basically a movie about
Oh,
like that
well, that was
kid
like role playing,
killed
wasn't it?
himself.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was supposed to be Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't think they could call it that.
yeah.
But
Demons
yeah,
and
demons and
dwellers.
dices or something. Um, wasn't there some movie where they showed a Napoleonic like minis battle in? It was some like detective novel or something where the character plays Napoleonic miniatures. Maybe it was only in the book. I definitely remember the a book having a section where the detective is like solo gaming like Waterloo, and it talks about like rolling dice and like stuff. So it was like very obvious what was going on. It was written by somebody who knew what was going on.
Oh yeah, just
But
for like
yeah,
a little rule set in there, just to hide in the
yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah. Just like, oh, okay, Napoleon rolled an 8. That's pretty good.
I'm just gonna say a quick hello to Mini Warbutt. Howdy, howdy.
Hey,
Good
I
to see
think
you.
that is our sole live listener.
That's right. If you got any thoughts on WYSIWYG, definitely type them in the comments below,
Yeah, absolutely.
or chat, I should say. Really.
Yeah,
Oh, you can do
well,
both. Double
you
up.
could technically type the same question in each place.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could like write us a letter and mail it to Canada.
And my last thought on WYSIWYG was
Oh
like
wait, he can't mail it
sci-fi.
to Canada because you guys have like a mail strike right now, don't you?
No, we got like occasional mail.
Oh, okay.
So like it's like we get mail like once or twice a week, basically.
Oh, okay. So you can mail.
Yeah,
Oh, of course. He
yeah.
was
Stranger
mentioning like
Things.
Stranger Things has some
Yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons.
and
Although
that
it
movie
was,
Zero Charisma, of course, was all about role playing.
yeah, yeah, that one was pretty good. I
Yeah, I
will
liked it.
say, Stranger Things had. Um, I'm forgetting it now because I remember like watching it and thinking like this was definitely written by people who know what Dungeons and Dragons is, but they also don't know the rules because I
Oh,
think they were having them like roll to hit for a fireball spell, or it was something like that, where every D&D player would be like, "That doesn't require a hit roll."
no? Oh, dang.
So yeah, it was frauds. But I think it was like I'm trying to remember if they ever say Dungeons and Dragons is that. Like it's obviously supposed to be D&D, but I don't remember if they say it or if they just like talk about
But
their
they made the
game.
module for D&D, so I mean, they're
Yeah,
definitely
like
tied together.
yeah. So they, although that came after, so maybe they didn't have the. Because sometimes you get where you don't have the rights to do something, but then you show off your almost thing, and
Yeah,
then like suddenly when it's good, you can
you
get the rights.
scoundrels. Okay, you can have it.
Yeah.
The Demigorgon miniature like skyrocketed in price on eBay. I remember,
Oh, I bet.
and
Yeah.
people were like, "Guys, don't buy it on eBay for like hundreds of dollars. You could just buy it from this website that still sells the exact miniature.
Yeah.
They still make it. It's still there. You can just buy the
Yeah.
real one."
You can get the real deal.
Yeah, never
So,
did buy
but
it though.
no. See, that's another. We were talking about TV shows before we started
Mhm.
the show, and I was mentioning that I'm like so bad at watching TV shows because like if I get to the end of the first season of a show, like the ending better have been good because that's probably as far as I'll ever get. And Stranger Things is like that. And luckily, the ending was really good. I liked it a lot, and then I just kind of was done. Like I don't know if the second season is supposed to be better or worse or the same, but like I just like I watched a bunch of Stranger Things, and then it
Yeah.
ended, and that was good.
Okay. Yeah. First season. That's all you need.
Yeah,
No, they're all good. The
So, all
yeah,
right.
the Mind Flayer, um, as Mini Wormut says, was
Hmm.
in later seasons, and they specifically called him the Mind Flayer,
Oh,
which I
okay.
think is licensed or
That might
trademarked.
be because yeah, I think that's one of those creatures that you can't just like use on your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, at some point they definitely at least like got the rights to do it, which I'm sure like didn't hurt Wizard of the Coast at all because it probably got a whole bunch of people interested
Hmm.
in Dungeons and Dragons, or at least owning some Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Everyone probably bought at least a little bit. I know the
Yeah.
kids were playing it for a while too when they all got into Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think
Fun.
they're playing it anymore. They went back to
No.
Roblox.
Yeah. But I was listening the other day because the kid was doing something with his friends. He was, on voice chat, and I was listening. I was like, that sounds kind of like they're playing a game. But I'm not sure. Maybe they're just like talking while playing video games or something. Because he's played a little bit of RPGs with us
Mhm.
in the past. And then I asked him later, I was like, "Oh yeah, we were playing Lancer," which I guess is
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah. I was like, that's like a real game, you know?
Yeah. I've heard of Lancer. It's the
Yeah,
mech
like
role-playing game. That's all I
yeah,
know.
they even have the rulebook at like Barnes and Nobles here. It's huge. I don't know if it's like a
Oh,
new
really?
edition or something, but yeah, it's like a giant fucking book.
Oh, crazy.
So it looked really cool too.
Yeah. Oh, if the price is right, maybe I'll grab it. I often buy
Hmm.
role-playing books just to never play them. So,
That's right.
um, let's see. Oh, Mini Warmut says, I'm trying to finish off painting the last 2 crew members of Hellhound for 5p. So that's one of his 2 crews he's running based on friends. They were organizing things through the Facebook chat, and Facebook decided just to not have community chats anymore.
All right.
They're
That
like, you know
that
what? Let's not do that anymore, guys.
yeah,
We're done here.
let's get rid of a feature that people actually use and enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
And then what we'll do though is we'll give you the AI robot who will just make random posts and ask questions. Really dumb questions.
yeah, it's I forget what I was looking at the other day. It was because before I deleted my account, like Reddit was do the same thing, but it'll like give you AI generated questions that are similar to the sub you're browsing. Like
Okay.
you go click on a post and there'll be like a bunch, and the idea is you click on one of those and it'll then search it for you.
Oh, okay.
But like for some reason they were like, because it was a sports thing, but the questions were about like the wrong sport. Like it was a soccer sub, and they were like baseball questions.
Hmm.
I was like, this is the right question for a completely different like experience that I'm
Yeah.
having. So, like, yeah, the AI thing is, but you know, that's free content, I suppose.
Yeah.
At some point,
It's kind
it'll
of
just
interesting.
be,
Like the AI in Facebook didn't go to all the groups because I managed a few groups and it only ever appeared in one for some reason.
oh,
It's like you
maybe
guys
like
get an AI and you could turn it off now, but like at the time they're like, yeah, you just get it. It's just happening.
uh, yeah, I think sometimes they roll out like they'll pick like I don't know 10,000 accounts or whatever, and they'll just roll it out to them.
Yeah.
Then if it explodes, it's only those 10,000 people. So, but you don't get any chance of like deciding if you want to like do it or not.
Yeah, exactly. So you are opted in
Yeah,
automatically.
always in.
Oh. So yeah, I guess good talk on WYSIWYG. There's no real answer to WYSIWYG
No, it
because
was
it's
really
such a
more
gray
like
area, you know.
yeah, and ultimately it's just like whatever your table is okay with,
Mm-hmm.
if you're fine with the Coke can dreadnought.
Yeah. But I think that
Um,
WYSIWYG can be gamified
yeah,
to your advantage. You know, like I can't have this new unit I really want that's powerful until I paint it because it has to be exactly that unit. I can't just like put a proxy in there. No, it has to
yeah,
be,
yeah. Well, it does get you motivated to actually do some painting.
yeah,
Like
and
it's a
or priming or not priming, converting or things, building.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people use the like parsecs and leaks and counter tables as like it's really
Hmm.
just like a paint generator.
Yeah,
It's like, oh boy, I rolled up 5 mercenaries with a rattle gun, so that means I need to go buy 5 models, and I need to make sure one of them has a machine gun, and they
yeah.
gotta be painted, and then So if you're using it that way,
Sci-fi
WYSIWYG
is kind of
can,
strange though. I mean, like if you look at like Men in Black, right? The guy got like that tiny little gun, but the tiny
mm-hmm.
little gun was super powerful.
Yeah,
The cricket.
the what was yes, the noisy cricket.
Yeah. So then, like, what does it actually matter? Like, what guns your figures are holding if it's sci-fi?
Well, it matters if it specifically says in the style guide that it must be. But yeah, I mean, it's again when it's the agnostic thing, you kind of just get to declare what it is. But then I think you do kind of have to if you're going to be serious about it, which you don't have to.
Mhm.
But you kind of have to like stick with it. Like if these guys are this particular alien, then those guys are that alien now. So
Mhm.
like at least I think if you're like trying to do it like you're trying to seriously paint them, because then you get that same you almost like invent your own game line or figure line.
Yeah, your own lore, so to speak.
Yeah, like maybe you have a bunch of Gene Stealer models, but they have never been Gene Stealers because you don't play Warhammer. They have been whatever creature in whatever game.
Yeah.
So that Gene Stealer still like means something to you, like seeing that model, but it's just a completely different thing. So I think that could be really cool.
Mm-hmm. And Mini Wormut says, to answer your question about WYSIWYG, yes, I like it because that's what you get with my solo games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
he's a gamified one for sure.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like that's the challenge. Make sure you have those miniatures to represent the thing that you've
Hmm.
rolled up, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
cool.
Well, yeah, and that's a way of. I mean, it's a way of getting like more immersion into the game, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
because you worked on these guys. Then I feel a little bit bad if the actual gun battle is over in like 10 minutes, but
It does
that's
happen.
yeah, that's the nature of it.
Yeah, my first game of Parsecs, I rolled up one enemy.
Yeah,
I can't remember why, but yeah. So yeah, like I think it was like five guys at the time,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a crew of five, and then there was one guy, one enemy. It's like okay, well, at least I get to see how it works, and
Yeah,
then it'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
done.
Get to maybe let him take a couple of shots just to give him a chance.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but then at some point the game will throw some stupid thing at you, and you will not regret taking the easy fight and getting the XP.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah. Do we want to chat a little bit about Wargames Atlantic?
I think yeah, just a little tiny bit
You
because we
know,
need to know
so
more, I guess.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the problem that nobody knows more.
Mm-hmm.
Because big things were promised, and then everyone is like, well, maybe. So, for those
Maybe.
who aren't familiar, and I don't want to recap the entire thing because then if I get it wrong, then it sounds bad. So, you can go look it up. But basically, back in them days, there was a company doing a game line called Defiance, and they had a big Kickstarter, as you often do, with big promises and lots of models, and then people didn't get their big promises, and they definitely didn't get their lots of models. They were big mad.
Mm-hmm.
The dudes at Frothers, before that website was shut down, were like, I think, burning Tony Reed in effigy on a daily basis because they were like particularly like incensed about it. And then he kind of disappeared. And then like I think 8 years passed, and he suddenly announces that he's actually been running Wargames Atlantic, beloved supplier of plastic kits to the entire wargaming world for this entire time. And now he's gonna like track everyone down who was owed money or minis from Defiance, and he's gonna like give them money or give them like more models worth of Wargames Atlantic stuff than they had paid for originally. Which was like I forget the number I saw, but it was like a lot of money that was out there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like $64,000 or something, which is not nothing. I don't know how much like revenue he generates, but like it's a good chunk.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big chunk.
So there was a lot of like people started asking a whole bunch of questions, right? So because some people were asking like, how did nobody figure it out? And some people were saying like, well, people kind of knew, but they were sort of keeping mum, or nobody wanted to come out and say it that this was probably the same guy. Some people were pointing out that like, wasn't it a little weird how quickly Wargames Atlantic got like up and running with like a full production and expertise and a very particular style of miniatures that looked an awful lot like
Mm-hmm.
old Wargames Factory and Defiance.
Oh, this is
So
like just like that War Games Factory kit, except for it's better quality. Strange.
yeah, so like in hindsight, maybe there was some science all along, but you don't really think about this. You certainly don't think that the same guy is like trying to hide in plain sight for 8 years in the same industry. Like usually, if you're like a scammer, you then go like make a different scam. Unless you're like into crypto, then you can just scam the same guys again.
Mm-hmm.
But like normally you would like fuck off and do something else. Like you
Mm-hmm.
sell like a computer keyboard and then you don't give anyone their keyboards. Then you go on to like do something different, make a Nintendo machine or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't come back to the same industry and then like run it legitimately, which is what makes
Yeah,
the story so like bananas, right?
yeah, it's a banana story. It's like a Cinderella story, kind of.
Yeah, like, and it's one of those like on one hand, like you kind of want it to just all like have the tidy ending, like the guy is like good for it and he tracks everyone down, they get their minis or get their money back, like. But on the other hand, there's also that voice of like, is that like as tidy as it is? Like, is that
Mm-hmm.
do stories like this end that way? Because I feel like they don't usually.
And if it goes south, where do we look
Yeah, like
next?
yeah, like what
Where-
happens if it gets screwed up again? Because in his like retelling of it, and I'm gonna just in case, like an angry man listens to this video, we're giving our opinions for parody and or other purposes. We are not speculating anything on what is or is not the case, and also,
oh yeah,
yeah, don't
censored.
don't sue us, please. But as it appeared in his like telling of the story, it definitely seemed a lot like he was the one guy who had like everything together and everyone else screwed up around him.
Hmm.
But then, as we talked about before we started recording, like anyone who has dealt with like Chinese manufacturing and will also know that what he's saying sounds like
Yeah.
stuff that happens a lot. And even like not, and I'm not even like necessarily bagging on Chinese manufacturing because you can get the same issue anywhere else. You know, all it takes in a whole chain of product is like one company fucking it up, right?
Hmm.
Like if you can get the sprues made, but you can't get the boxes, you're just as fucked as you were before, right?
It's kind of like Robotech RPG Tactics. You know, like their
Mm-hmm.
lack of knowledge really didn't help them. They needed
Yeah,
someone who understood what was going on over there, and they
yeah,
didn't have
and they
that.
needed somebody to be able to make the project as foolproof as possible. So when it gets
Hmm.
sent to a manufacturer that don't know shit about it,
Hmm.
there are as few things that can go wrong as possible. They obviously didn't have that because they didn't understand what they were making either.
Hmm.
And maybe that is the case. Like that was the case for Defiance, you know? Like maybe um you know, they always say like, oh, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Even if everything he's saying is absolutely true and he had it all together, he obviously has figured out how to do better stuff and more reliably and source better vendors and stuff like in the years since. Like people haven't had like I know Wargames Factory had some issues, but I think like everyone has basically been happy with the Wargames Atlantic.
They are, yeah, they were celebrated as heroes right up until the
Yeah,
announcement, and then I'm not sure
right.
how it stands
And
now.
a lot of people were like pretty dubious about it. Like the only
Hmm.
people I ever see who bag on them is literally just like they don't like the style of minis or whatever, which is
Yeah,
fine. You know, like if you're not into that their vibe. Um, So, but it's also like if this is the guy, and I have no reason to doubt that it isn't the guy. Nobody has like come out and questioned that, right?
yeah,
Um,
that's right.
so, but he doesn't have anything to like obviously clearing his name, but you know, like in a way, he doesn't have anything to gain by doing this, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like yeah,
Yeah,
it'll look
lots to
good.
lose, nothing to gain, really.
Yeah, like if he fucks this whole thing up again, it could be the literal same thing that you know, like a supply issue, so something goes wrong, he can't do it. And you know, there's got some of those dudes. People will hang on to like unfulfilled Kickstarters, like fucking like hate posting about it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
They won't let that shit go. You know, it's like if you ever had a friend who like had their first girlfriend and now it's been 15 years and they're still mad about it and they were together for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
3 weeks.
yeah.
You know, they just have fucking issues. Um,
Hmm.
so you know, like nerds and Kickstarter is kind of like that, where they can hold on to some things. Um, it's also like because one of I was talking to somebody, maybe it was Torben, about it. That let's say you spent $200 back in the day that you didn't get for your minis. If you're
Hmm.
getting $200 of Wargames Atlantic figures today, that's a lot better product than what $200 of Defiance would have gotten you in 2016 or whatever, right? Like the
Hmm.
quality is better, they're crisper, they're just like so much better than what was plastic kits at the time, right?
Hmm.
And especially like I don't want to say third party plastic because you know it has nothing to do with Games Workshop, but like small company plastics. It took a long time for them to kind of get up to the same standard as like the big model kit companies that have been doing it for you know decades.
Hmm.
So if you're taking the deal and getting the same amount of money in Wargames Atlantic figures, um, you're getting much nicer stuff than you would have gotten back then, and you would have like lost those minis or misplaced them or sold them by now anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's be honest.
Dug them out of
Um,
your closet.
yeah. Whereas if you take the money, you're actually getting a much worse deal because if you spent $200 back then in tasty 20 whatever $16, in 2025 those don't buy shit now. That'll give you like
No.
two Snickers and a sugar-free soda.
Yeah.
So you
I'm
know,
just gonna
like,
say a quick hello to Mini Pots. He
hey,
says, "I sort of commend his comeback, trying to make good. You don't forget the wrong though, and that's true.
yeah. I mean, I think everyone
But
has to.
it's kind of a, yeah, it's a weird situation. So
Yeah, like on one hand, I think like I definitely want this to just end well. Like he does the right thing, or as many people as possible, because there's going to be some you can't reach. There's going to be some who don't like give it. They don't play minis anymore. Maybe there's one guy out there who like gave up on the hobby entirely because he got scammed by Defiance.
Yeah,
You know,
and
and
then
that
definitely some people have passed on. They're not around anymore. They kickstarted and they passed away. There's no way
yeah,
to
you
get
know,
reconcile with them.
yeah, like literal unreachable, or they moved out of the country, or they just don't play games anymore. You
Yeah,
know, they just are doing different things. But yeah, like I think, you know, like realistically, I hope everyone wants to see it like made well or done the best thing he can. And I think the way he's doing it is the best thing you can do, and say, okay, here's what, I can't get you the models that you were promised back then, but I can get you something pretty cool.
yeah,
So, but I think there's also going to be like a lot of questions about it, because people are going to be wanting to know, like, why did it take this long? You know,
hmm
like that's a long time, um, as opposed to
I think
trying to
he did
fix.
mention though that he just didn't have the capital, but now he's getting to the point where Wargames Atlantic is a strong enough company that he could actually
Yeah, I
take
mean,
revenue and put it back in towards the people
yeah,
who didn't
I mean,
fare well.
the number I saw somewhere was 64,000. I might don't hold me to that, because I might have read it wrong, or the person might have been wrong. It was just looking real quick. Like that's a healthy chunk of money.
Hmm.
You know, even for like we think of companies like Wargames Atlantic being, or even Warlord or something, being like huge
Hmm.
businesses, but like a lot of them are running a lot thinner, like margin wise, than we think.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Especially in his situation where he wouldn't have had the capital because he basically lost everything to begin with.
yeah. So well, as it turns out, he did have something sitting around, because he got in business again pretty
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
Uh,
I guess people are just confident enough in him. Like his ideas were good. People just figured so. He
yeah,
was
I
worth
mean,
the
there's
risk.
also the argument that I think he hints at in the message, where he's basically saying that if he had done it, I think he says that if he'd done it sooner, people wouldn't have taken his word for it, because
Yeah, that's right.
you had to establish like Wargames Atlantic as a real company that is delivering
Yeah,
product. Like I'm not a huge customer. I have a couple of boxes of something, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, definitely. I have some sitting
So
right in front of me. Yeah.
yeah, they're perfectly great like figures.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a bizarre story, but it's not very often that we get like um a story like that, or like it's something wild. Yeah, I feel like the RPG folks have way more like drama and like stuff going on. So minis gamers are kind of boring. So when we finally get something, we gotta like you gotta make something out of it, right?
Yeah. Especially when it's a Scooby Doo situation. Pull off the mask.
Yeah,
Was
like
old man
oh
set
shit, it
free?
was Tony Reed all along. So I was looking at like War Game or Let Adventure, and there were definitely people who still like big mad about it. And I was like,
Yeah.
maybe you should also just like let it go.
Yeah.
Like if this is the
Ah, they're
first
gonna be
time you had
mad.
ever lost money on Kickstarter, like
Yep.
you know, like I hate to tell you what happens on eBay
Yep. Don't
then.
don't do that.
Mini Pots is saying that does suck, dying before you get your minis. Some shipping
Yep.
times, man. Yeah,
Never
there's
gets better.
some things I've ordered where I've definitely worried that I was gonna die before I got it, because it took so
Mhm.
long.
When I
Um,
worked at Sport Check, someone had bought a bike online and they just never picked it up. And it was like a year later. I'm like, we built the bike for the guy. It's just hanging around in the ceiling. Like, whatever
yeah,
happened to this person? And we had to investigate. And I was like, oh, he passed away
wow, that's
before he
kind
had a
of
chance to
grim.
pick it up. So that was it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they just
I mean,
charged his credit card back and that was it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, goes to the estate, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in this case, because there was a credit card was still there, they could just move the money
Oh,
back,
okay.
I guess, or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say all is well that ends well, but it didn't, because the guy fucking died.
Yeah. Someone enjoyed that bike
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
long
At
run.
some point, it becomes somebody's bike, the haunted bike.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
want
right.
it?
Haunted
Do you want to see the dead man's bike?
bike.
So, but yeah, it's a weird and wild story. But yeah, I suppose this is one we can kind of check check
Hmm.
check back in with.
Yeah.
Um,
If it ends well, we'll just forget about it anyway. So that's about it.
yeah, I mean, people get some swag, and hey, like I said, you're definitely getting better stuff now than you would have gotten back then. So,
Hmm.
in a way, like you just got to wait for an upgrade.
And then, yeah, lastly, we're going to talk a little paranoia.
Yeah, get paranoid. You know what's the worst thing about paranoia?
Oh, what's that?
It's always worse than you fear.
It's always worse than you fear.
It's from an Danish rock band song.
Ah,
Um,
yes.
but yeah, Paranoia. So originally it was a role playing game. Kind of a weird subversive game because every role playing game has a little blurb in the beginning that it's not about competition. You're working together and it's about telling a story. But Paranoia is kind of explicitly about competition. You are all clones living inside kind of like a Fallout vault run by an insane computer. And you are basically all trying to like stab each other in the back or inform on each other as traitors and mutants. Everyone belongs to like a secret society. Everyone has like mutant superpowers. And because you die all the time, you get 5 clones. So you can like respawn in the game. So if somebody kills you, you can come back and get revenge on them. So it's sort of like the opposite of how normal role playing games work, where you are explicitly trying to screw each other, and that's the intended way of playing the game. And the overlords had gotten the rights to publish a board game for Paranoia, so they had some miniatures on hand. So I got the offer of, hey, do you want to write us a miniatures game for Paranoia? I was like, that is the weirdest shit I've ever heard. Of course I want to write a miniatures game for Paranoia. And pretty free hands to do it as well, which led to me sitting and racking my brain how you turn a sort of semi-competitive role-playing game into a miniatures game. So the core setup for the game works the same as it did in the RPG. You are each playing a troubleshooter. You have clone replacements ready, standing by. You all have like mutant superpowers, and you get a mission from the computer. And you generate randomly what the table looks like. So there are areas of the table that will be higher security clearances. There are different features like computer consoles and vending machines. And there are random NPCs. So there might be security guards who are keeping an eye on you. There might be random clones. There might be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like, there's some variety. And you then have to carry your missions. Some of the mutations are in... Some of them are like benefits. Like your character can like have extendo arms or they have like regeneration or something. But some of them will also get in the way. Like your mutant is like rapidly melting down or going berserk and will just attack random characters. You each have like a secret society mission, which might be to like kill a particular character or prevent someone else from doing their mission, or maybe your mission is to prevent the whole team from completing their mission. So between all of this and whether or not your character has been denounced as a traitor, which can happen if you like attack somebody you're not supposed to, or if you enter a restricted area or certain other things, it's basically like procedural chaos, where any number of things can happen, and the mission will spin wildly out of control as you're trying to both complete the mission, because you do get points for doing that, but also complete your own secret society mission. And yeah, so it's procedurally generated. It's not a campaign game. You just set it up and play. It really is set up to play more like a board game in some ways, where it's kind of a one-off experience. It can be played if you have board game tiles. You can play it on those. You can also use like just normal terrain because part of it's called Alpha Complex, but that could be like an underground park, or sometimes like Alpha Complex like breaks apart and you can go outside and there might be monsters out there. So you can use regular gaming terrain as well. Like again, it's like run by an insane computer. So maybe like there is a section that is like a scaled representation of Stalingrad or something in Alpha Complex. And your troubleshooters have to go in there, but it's overrun by killer robots. So it's very sort of goofy and weird and funny, and completely demented. Now, I don't remember if they used the tagline after all. Oh, they did. So it's called the Uncooperative Miniatures Game, because Modifius is big on their cooperative minis games. But this is a different vibe. It will use the same miniatures that they produced for the board game, because they did a Paranoia board game. And they're pretty nice minis. They have like troubleshooters and security guards and stuff. From monsters and aliens, you're going to be just grabbing whatever you have sitting around. The rules are kind of a spin-off, like a distant cousin to like 5 Parsecs, just because that's what they figured was easiest. But it's kind of been slimmed down a lot, so like you don't really have like stats necessarily. You just, most things you do, you're just trying to roll a 4 or better on a die to do it.
Oh, okay. It's a good old game of 4-ups.
Yes. Sometimes you can have like you get a like you might have an ability or a weapon that gives you like you always get a plus to shoot or something. Uh,
Okay.
but your main thing then is like your actual mutation. So like for example, if you're a blank slate, then anytime a status effect is applied to your character, you can roll four up, and it will happen to a random character on the table instead. So like if you get poisoned, you can, and that kicks in, then a different character gets poisoned instead, completely
Oh,
randomly. Minipots asked, no character advancement. No, because it's not a campaign game. It's a one-off. Because remember, your clones are probably going to be dead. You can progress within the mission, both improving your security clearance, but mostly through acquiring like equipment and stuff. So it's really intended as like a one-off kind of thing. However, in order to give some replay, there's actually more than one way of playing. So there's a standard game, which is just you set up the mission, generate everything randomly, generate your objectives, blah, 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 and you play. You can do that kind of as many times as you want. There is a collection of scenarios, which are basically adding things to the standard play. I forget how many we included. So some of them are very simple, like it's dark and you can't see for shit, or there are monsters invading Alpha Complex. At least one of them is a reference to aliens, and one of them is a reference to Doom. So I'll let people find those and have some fun with them. One of them is that there's a nuclear reactor that is melting down, and you have to deal with it before the entire table gets obliterated. So the scenarios basically let you like modify the standard gameplay. And I should add here, it is absolutely possible that a mission becomes impossible to play. You might realize that the guy who was carrying the mission critical item just like melted down into an acidic pool of goo and destroyed the item, or that a giant monster ate one of the characters that you needed. That is all part and parcel of Paranoia. In that case, maybe you just go after your secret society missions, or maybe just get the hell out of there before it gets even more crazy. So normally game balance is like a big factor, but for here it's absolutely part of the RPG is that the computer will often assign you missions that are impossible, or it will tell you that you have to go into a high security area, but it will then not give you the security clearance to enter that area, or whatever. You need equipment that it won't give you, or which doesn't exist. If you are a little more creative than that, you can also play in computer mode. This is basically a miniatures RPG where one player takes a role as the computer. You create the mission and you play it kind of like just a game master. You have control of all the characters. You can give special objective. You can also allow special things to take place. You can, if a player wants to do something that he can't do in the normal game, you can do it here. Like if he wants to persuade somebody, or if he wants to somebody wants to climb through the air ducts or something, you can do that in computer mode. You also get some bananas nonsense you can do. Like you can add, I forget what we call them, but you can basically add special rules that you don't tell the player about the scenario. So you might make a rule that in every odd numbered game turn, if anyone fires a weapon, a random player is declared a traitor and is now a target for everybody. So it can be anything like that. And then it's up to the players to like figure it out. Or like if you in every turn that a character is in a particular room, a monster spawns somewhere on the map. It can be anything like that. And you leave it up to the players to figure it out. You do have to tell them if you are using any secret rules like that or not. But it's basically a way of like really getting the paranoia and the uncertainty going. So
okay. Do you have to
also,
write it down then?
Yeah, so you have to play it square. Like you can't change it in the way. They have to be established first. Because you're the computer. There's logic to it.
Yeah.
So you can also use computer interference points. So you get points you can spend each turn, and they kind of accumulate, and you can use those to kind of mess with the players. So if you want to put or remove a terrain feature, if you want to change the security clearance of an area, add a new objective to bother them even more, or change one of the objectives when they've almost completed it, you can use interference points to do that. So you basically get to be to torment the players a little bit, but you still have to kind of play by the rules. And finally, there is a bit of a solo option. They are kind of an addendum, but you can take control of the party of troubleshooters yourself. In that case, it's really more of like survive the random nonsense kind of game. You still have to deal with characters being declared traitors, but in this case, you have to basically decide, because the more traitors that are on the board, the bigger the chance that like soldiers show up to kill them. So to reduce that or fend that off, you may have to like try to get rid of one of your traitors, which turns them into an NPC. So you have to like manage how many you got with you.
Okay.
So it's kind of an alternate game mode. And then there's the I forget what we called it. It's like the survival mode, which is literally just one character, and you're just kind of seeing what happens. So this is sort of the ultimate, like, just sit down and have some fun and see what banana stuff can occur.
Oh. Many Pots has a question about the secret rules. Are they available in soloish game or only in versus?
Secret rules won't work in a solo game, unfortunately, because they rely on the computer player knowing what they are so you can apply them, because they sort of, by definition, like break the rules in some way.
Okay.
So that, however, there are a lot going on already with special conditions, the computer shouting at you and giving you additional objectives through a random table if you're dragging your heels and so on, that the game will have plenty to challenge you with in solo mode. I appreciate I appreciate the jingle there.
Yeah.
That was pretty rad. So yeah, solo mode is kind of its own thing. So there are certain things, because of the nature of this game, it's split up a little bit more with certain features that work in certain modes. There's no way of kind of getting around that. So, but yeah, it is a game that you can kind of play in like a multitude of different ways. So yeah, he says.
Well, I have a question about the points. So that's in the uncooperative mode. You get points, and so basically, whoever just gets the most points wins.
Yeah. So let me find the actual scoring. See, so this is a catch, because when I get the like edited version back, a lot of times stuff has been moved around for the way I wrote.
Oh yes.
Because the way I write it is almost always not the best way. So the official name for the score is the Troubleshooter Job Well Done Metric Evaluation Survey Score, which is based on how many clones you had left, how many traitors you killed. Those are worth 1 point each. So that's simple enough. If you completed your secret society objective, you get 2d6 points. So in the role-playing game, there's always a bit of like trying to take credit for everything that happened, or make excuses, or like sell out your rival. So the role represents that. You also get, everyone gets one die of points if you completed the overall mission. So it's possible if you didn't complete your secret society objective that role could bring you over anyway.
Okay.
There's also a little bonus if you complete the mission. The player who lost the most clones get a couple of bonus points for like sacrificing themselves for the cause. So you technically could come through and win, even if you lost all your clones. And there's a little denunciation mechanic where you can declare who was like the biggest traitor, but that has a chance of backfiring on you. So basically, everyone writes down. You make a little speech to everybody to say who is the most vile traitor in the group. Then everyone writes it down, but you don't have to actually write down the name that you said.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Then, if a single player gets the most denunciations, they lose 2 dice worth of points. So they were the biggest traitor. If 2 players are tied for the most, then neither of them lose the points. So they got off with it. And any player that received no denunciations at all gets an extra die of points, because they were obviously doing the computer's work.
Yeah.
So, however, if every player denounces the same person except for that player, the computer decides it's conspiracy, and that player just wins outright. So it is absolutely possible to be you might screw yourself or just get complete chaos. Like you can hang out one player a little too convincingly and they might end up winning, which is very paranoia. Now the scoring is technically optional. You can just say that, hey, we played the game, we had a fun time, and we accidentally like blew up a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's a
Yeah, it
good
does
day.
sound fun though. The scoring at the end, it adds quite a bit
Yeah,
of post game shenanigans.
yeah. It's one of those things where it felt right to make it kind of like a board game. So there's a definitely more board game vibes in it. Um, Also, because a lot of things are just because Paranoia is kind of absurd, you can kind of get away with a lot that you couldn't do in a normal game because it's normally you can't like give the players a mission that they don't have the items to complete or something, but that works in Paranoia because maybe you can find a different way around it, or maybe the computer is just insane and it assigned you something that you can't complete. So, but yeah, so it's the uncooperative miniatures game. So, game of betraying your friends, getting into fights with aliens, and suddenly realizing that things have gone very haywire indeed. And like I said,
I've
it's
never
playable.
asked you
Mhm.
to score your rules writing. So, like on a, I don't know, like scale of 1 to 10, how would you say this game challenged your, basically established rules writing?
Yeah, well,
And
that's
would
an
you say that
interest.
you accomplished the goals you originally thought that you
I
were going to
think
come up
this is one of the two, the other being Hush Hush, that definitely like challenged it the most because it was adopting something that wasn't a miniatures game at all. And I don't
with?
think has ever been a miniatures game to a minis format. Which is really fun to do because you get to kind of think about like what is the. It's very easy. You could just take all the skills and weapons and stats and just like all of that stuff basically just works if you put it on a board, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you move 5 meters, that's just 5 inches. But it's more interesting to like try to reimagine it in the context of miniatures gaming, in the context of how we do things on a tabletop with dice and miniatures, because there's a lot of things that kind of work differently. So, um, like when you play the role playing game, your mutation is almost always something useful because you're playing that character for like 5 hours.
Okay.
Maybe you're playing clones of that character because you got killed, but it's still your character. Whereas since this is both a shorter game, but also we kind of need to create some conflict, a lot of the mutations are much more erratic than they would be there, and some of them are just downright like negative in effect. In order to get the game kind of moving and sort of throw, it's like walking into a room that's full of fumes and you flick on a lighter to see what happens. That may be good or it may be less so. So and you can sort of like like if you have the mutant power meltdown where your character is slowly melting down and you know that you have 2 turns left to go, maybe you want to stand next to like the guy who's been really pissing you off the whole mission. So when your
Yeah.
character melts down, his character is killed instantaneously. Or maybe you make a suicide run at like a monster that's been eating half the squad. Minipots is asking, would the tiles be available by themselves? I will ask because the tiles are for the board game. I have only seen the boxes of minis, but I will check and find out. They should sell them separately, unless there's some sort of licensing reason they couldn't. I don't know. I had no involvement with the board game, so I don't know like how that all worked. In fact, that's one thing that people might be surprised by because the two games are completely different mechanically. But again, I was given a free hand, and I think the board game guy was too.
Nice.
So,
And then
the
you guys
minis
never talked.
literally not. I got some feedback from like the original creators of the RPG,
Mhm.
and I got like a list of what stuff was available for the board game because they have like computer consoles and some other things.
Okay.
Actually, the minis are pretty decent. They could be used for a bunch of different stuff. Like the security guards are pretty cool.
Come on,
I'm getting us
Modiphies.
some stuff. Yeah, I'm getting us some
My
stuff.
hands.
We gotta have some swag. We can do our
Yeah,
first
yeah.
unboxing.
Woo-woo.
So, but yeah, as usual, if you pre-order it, you get the PDF like right away. There are some we caught, of course, some bugs and errors and stuff like that. So those will be ironed out as much as we can and fixed in the full version. And then I don't remember. You'd have to look on the website when they say that it's supposed to ship, and then maybe add 1d6 weeks to that. So, yes,
D3
especially if you're,
months.
yeah, especially stateside and in Canadian side, it can be a little rough.
Yeah.
So, I think the UK folks got the compendium for leagues like pretty quickly, and people in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
states were still pretty sour about it. So, just factor that in. If you are pre-ordering, you're just gonna have to. That's
Yeah.
just how it
You get the
works.
PDF, and that's what you get. And then you
Yeah,
wait.
then you wait a while, and the PDF should be available standalone once people are getting their pre-orders. That's how it
Mhm.
always works. So they want to encourage. Plus, it. Yeah, I don't know. That's just how they do it. Obviously, they want to promote people buying the actual book. So
Sometimes people will say this game is kind of like X game. But could you say
yeah,
in
I've
the
been
miniature circle, is there any game that is kind of like this?
no, that's the problem. I've been thinking about that
Yep.
because it's kind of an easy shorthand, and I'm not trying to be like coy about how this is the most original thing you've ever seen because a lot of my games are like some other games, sometimes explicitly. But this really isn't like it. It feels the most like a board game, if I'm being honest. Like I don't know, something like. See, I'm gonna say this, but it's not really true. But like the old Space Crusade board game or something, or something like Siege of the Citadel, or like it's just a little bit of vibe. But yeah, honestly, it just the biggest influence would be a night Graham. The biggest influence would be like board games and stuff like that. There's just not a miniatures game that like feels like it. So
But if you guys who are listening have a thought, maybe this is like a certain thing, definitely put it in the comments below.
yes,
And
prove
so
us
we can,
wrong or prove me
because it's
wrong.
always good to have a reference anyway. Like if you like this
Yeah,
game, you
yeah,
should
yeah.
check out this game. It's like,
Yes, absolutely.
if you like screwing over your friends,
Yeah,
Paranoia.
absolutely. And yeah, it's so weird because I think they even toned down the like 5x like so it is called five clone. The subtitle is Paranoia, and then five clones from Alpha Complex. So it's like it's thrown out there that yeah, this is
Hmm.
a 5x thing, but like it's definitely like the most removed from how these things usually work. So if you played Parsecs, you will like recognize like certain things. You know, like it's rolling equal over something to hit. It's rolling equal over toughness to do damage, stuff like that. You can move and like you will
And you got
recognize
charts
things.
to roll on. Many, many charts.
Yes. Yeah, there's quite a few tables to roll on. So, you'll recognize a lot of things that are familiar and you'll sort of see where things come from if you like gotten all of the stuff, you're like the hardcore Modifius 5X guy, you'll see like the evolution between and how the rules change for different like projects and different ideas. So, but yeah,
Nice.
definitely the most like unique. But hold that thought until the project I can't talk about. Can talk about it.
Is it also IP or is it something that's original? Something
It is
different?
IP, and it
Okay.
is a very particular IP that I was very excited about.
Ooh, that's
So
exciting in itself.
yeah, yeah, actually, absolutely. So people can go like dig. So Paranoia was out of the. Nobody would have been able to guess that because I didn't
Hmm.
think that was ever going to happen, and I had no reason to suspect. But for this one, it's something that people have definitely asked about in the past, and it's something that I have wanted to do. So it was kind of an exciting opportunity. Also, the mystery project will be supported by a full line of brand new miniatures. So based on
Nice.
the IP, obviously, but like there has not been miniatures available for this IP before,
Ooh.
and I think I have not seen only like prototype stuff, but I'm sure that Modifius turns out like a pretty nice miniature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, about the Fallout stuff when it first came out, and it was all very good quality. Even the board game plastic was good.
yeah, and sometimes like with board game minis, they can be
Yeah, so.
so, but yeah, they were
But these
pretty
were good.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I ran into trouble with was the plastic like Skyrim skeletons, which are just like awful to assemble.
Uh,
But plastic skeletons are often kind of awful.
oh, you know
So,
whose weren't though?
hmm?
Wargames Factory.
Do they have good
Best
skeletons?
skeletons in the biz.
All right, right.
Most people hate them though. I mean, I
That's
think I'm
fair.
pretty sure I'm in the minority of people who love plastic Wargames Factory skeletons because you have to put the legs into the feet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But if you do it on the sprue, then it's very easy. There's no issues with
Usually, where the issue comes is when you have to attach the legs to like the hips, because it's
that. Oh,
almost
no,
impossible to get them to like line up proper.
that's the joy of building skeletons.
Yeah, there was a guy on the Weasel Court who had I think it was for a 3D printed, but he was like building new skeletons or something.
Nice.
So people who are on there should go like check it out. Minipots asked, "You already have your next project?" Yeah, I have like the next 2.5 projects. So there will be a new 5 leaks thing, which I don't think I can talk about just yet. There is maybe another IP thing, and there's at least one other thing, and then the project is talked about. So yeah, it's like lined the fuck up.
Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like as fast as I can do them. With getting it right and getting it decent. And Planetfall is still like lurking out there, slowly grinding its way through. I have to mention it because I was newest will like lose the shit.
Yeah.
But it's getting closer. It's all done on my part, and I think the first major pass, because I've given responses to like the editor guy on all of his questions. So usually when that happens, we're starting to like accelerate.
Oh, nice. Planetfall is really cool. So people are going to be
yes. People was super excited about that. That will blow people's minds. After that, there's a bunch of talks we've had about Parsecs things, leaks things, at what point we start talking like new edition of the original game kind of thing. So, and what that would include. So there's a lot out there.
How long has it been now that 5 Parsecs from Home 3rd Edition's been out?
A frightening amount of time. Let's see. I suppose we can see when it showed up on Wargame Multi. Solo Adventure Wargame. Oh, except they don't really show the year anymore, do they? 2021. So it has been.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years.
4
Feels
years.
longer.
Yeah,
that's still a good chunk. Which means
okay, at least 2 40K editions. So
yeah. And it feels longer because it took from the time I started working on it. That was like I think almost 2 years before it came out. Like so Tactics took like forever. That was like handed off very shortly after 5 Parsecs was done, and then it took forever for that to get through the process. But it's one of those things like they have like a lot of, if you go to the website, you look at all the RPG stuff, they have like so many projects that all have to go through like I don't know how many people they employ for doing like editing and stuff. I prefer like they have one guy I usually work with because he kind of gets it.
Nice.
So it's like all these projects have to go through like this little funnel like that dude. And then all the art has to be lined up, and they have to arrange like to print. You have to be within certain page ranges and stuff like that. You have to have so much art, but not too much. Blah blah blah. Like I don't have to do most of that stuff. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of what we had for the evening.
Yeah, that's right. We covered all the things.
Paranoia, some gaming gossip, some WYSIWYG philosophizing.
Yeah, we came in at a hefty, nearly hour and a half. So
yeah, that was a little longer than expected. My iPad's battery is a little better than the phone, so still good, pretty good shape.
Nice, sweet. Well, then I think we should hard out.
Yeah,
and say goodnight to all these fine folks.
Peace, everybody. Bye. We'll do the anime outro.
Anime outro. Okay, take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.